Beloved friends, I speak to you today not as a stranger, but as a voice echoing from the very depths of your own being. I have watched the human condition for a long time. I have looked into your eyes, into the eyes of thousands who come to me, searching for relief, and I have seen a truth that is often missed. I have watched people suffer, not because pain is wrong, but because they never learned how to listen to it. You have been taught to fight. You have been taught to conquer. But healing is not a conquest. It is a communion. There is a secret that the mind does not know, but the heart remembers. It is this: pain softens when you speak. It does not harden, it melts. Pain opens when you give it your presence. Most of you run. You run fast. You run far, distracted by the noise of the world, afraid that if you stop, the pain will consume you. But it is the running that consumes you. And in the next moments with me, you will feel the first moment of a deep healing. That comes not from effort, but from a soft conversation with your own heart. We are going to change the very foundation of how you relate to yourself. In this message, I will show you how to heal your pain. But listen carefully, because my way is not the way of the world. The world says fix it. The world says cut it out. I say no. We will heal not by running from it, not by fighting it, not by drowning it in effort, but by speaking to it with presence. Before we go deeper, I ask you to make a small gesture of commitment to your own healing. If you are ready to stop running and start listening, let this video be a marker in your timeline. Click the like button now, not for the algorithm, but as a signal to your own subconscious that you are present, that you are here, and that you are ready to receive. You will see the gentle power that rises when you give your pain a voice and let it answer. It is a dialogue that has been waiting to happen for lifetimes. Many come to me with heavy hearts, tired from carrying wounds they never understood, and I guide them into a way of healing that is simple, human, natural. It is not complex philosophy. It is as simple as the earth, as natural as the rain. In this journey with me, you will learn the inner movement that softens pain, the breath that opens it, and the presence that transforms it. You will feel the shift inside you, and that shift becomes your path. It is not a path of maps and scriptures. It is a path of feeling. I know your conditioning. I know how you were raised. I know many of you have been taught to hide your pain, to silence it, to pretend it is not there. You were told to be strong. You were told that tears are for the weak. You were told that pain makes you weak. They told you that it should be pushed down, covered, ignored, and so you built walls. You wore masks. You smiled when you wanted to scream. But let us look at the result of this strategy. Has the pain gone? But pain does not disappear when you hide from it. It does not evaporate. It only grows lonely. It only grows tight. Think of a small child left alone in a dark room. The child does not stop crying because you close the door. The child cries harder or worse. The child falls into a silent despair. Your pain is that child. And in that tightness, your whole being becomes small. You shrink. Your life shrinks. Your capacity for joy shrinks. But I am here to tell you a great secret. Pain does not want to hurt you. This is the misunderstanding. Pain wants to speak. Pain is language. Pain is a message delivered to the doorstep of your consciousness. But you refuse to open the door. Pain wants to be understood. That is its only desire. When you turn toward it, when you breathe with it, when you speak to it, something miraculous happens. The enemy becomes the friend. The burden becomes the bridge. The pain becomes your teacher. It becomes your guide. And healing begins from the inside, soft and real. if you wish to walk this path of deep inner alchemy with us, to support the spreading of this light to all corners of the earth, consider becoming a member of our community by clicking the join button. You help us keep this flame alive. Or, if this specific message touches a wound in you today, you can offer a super thanks. It is an energy exchange, a way of saying, I have received. And the universe always fills the open hands of a grateful heart. In this long journey with me, I will take you step by step into the deepest truth of healing. We are not in a rush. Healing has its own season, its own timing. I will show you why pain appears in your life, what it tries to say, and how your own voice becomes the medicine it has been waiting for. You carry the medicine within you, but you have forgotten where you put it. I am simply here to remind you. We will move through the art of listening to your pain, the gentle way of speaking to it, breath that opens its knots, and the presence that brings light into its darkest corner. As we go deeper, you will discover something surprising. The mind thinks pain is an attack, but the spirit knows the truth. Your pain is not against you. It is for you. It is the rope that pulls you out of the well of unconsciousness. It leads you back to yourself, and by the end of our time together, you will feel a new space inside you, soft and open, where healing happens naturally and life begins to move with you again. This is the part most people never see. They live on the surface. They run from pain. They hide from it. They push it away. They numb it. Alcohol, distraction, endless scrolling, constant work. These are just sophisticated ways of running. They silence it, but they never stop long enough to feel that pain does not appear without purpose. Nothing in existence is accidental. Existence is not chaotic. It is a cosmos. It is an order. Pain arrives only when something inside you is ready to be seen. Listen to this closely. It means that if pain is here, you are ready. You are strong enough. Existence does not give you a burden you cannot carry. Pain is the signal that a change is waiting. It is the dinner bell ringing, calling you to the feast of transformation. Pain is the knock on the door of your inner world, inviting you to look, inviting you to listen, inviting you to grow into a new space within yourself. Will you keep the door bolted, or will you, with trembling hands perhaps, slide back the lock? Here is something most people completely miss. They think pain is bad luck. They think it is random chaos. But pain is not random. Pain is precise. It is like a surgeon's scalpel. It knows exactly where the infection lies. Pain knows exactly where to touch you, exactly when to touch you, exactly how much to touch you. It is intelligent energy. It arrives in the moment your awareness is strong enough to meet it. It appears when some old part of you is ready to soften. It is not here to break you. It is here to melt you. It appears when you are ready to shift, ready to release what has been held too tightly for too long. We hold on to our past, our grievances, our identities. Pain comes to say, let go. Your hands are bleeding from holding this rope. And when you begin to understand pain in this way, you stop treating it as an intruder and begin to see it as a visitor carrying a message that belongs to you. If you are finding resonance in these words, if you feel the truth of them vibrating in your chest, I invite you to share this video. Share it with a friend who is suffering. Share it on your timeline. By clicking share, you become a conduit. You say to the universe, I value this truth, and what you value grows. And do not forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you are tuning your radio to this frequency, ensuring you never miss the guidance when it comes. Pain pushes your awareness to a forgotten place. It acts like a spotlight in a dark theater. It guides your attention toward the exact spot that has been neglected, denied, or abandoned. It might be a physical tightness, a burning emotion, a heaviness in the chest, a silent ache in the heart. The form does not matter. The essence is the same. Whatever its form, pain is simply pointing. It is a signpost. It is pointing to the place inside you that needs to be seen with gentleness. It is pointing to a wound that was created long ago, perhaps in your childhood, perhaps in a relationship that broke you, a moment that never received your understanding. It sits there, frozen in time, waiting for the warmth of your gaze, an emotion that was never given the chance to breathe. Pain brings your awareness to that place so that it can come back into the light of your presence. Pain is the body or the heart calling for attention. It is not shouting out of malice. It calls the way a small child calls a mother. Have you ever seen a child tugging at their mother's skirt? At first gentle, then harder, then crying. Why? Not with punishment, not with rebellion, but with longing. It is a cry for connection. It says, see me, hold me, stay with me. And the moment you turn toward it with even a little softness, something begins to change. You do not need to be a master. You do not need to be enlightened. Even a little softness is enough. Pain softens. Pain warms. Pain loosens its grip. Why? Because the resistance is gone. Pain begins to melt because it feels seen. Pain has only one need: to be acknowledged. That is all. It does not need you to solve a puzzle. It needs you to witness its existence. It only grows loud when you ignore it. It only grows sharp when you push it away. It only becomes heavy when you pretend it isn't there. But the moment you give it presence, its message begins to unfold naturally. This brings us to the first great pillar of our journey together: listening. Listening creates the first movement of healing. We live in a world of talking, of noise, of opinions. But healing comes from the silent ear. Healing doesn't begin with techniques or methods or effort. You cannot force your way into wholeness. Healing begins with listening. Listening is the medicine. Listening is the first touch that pain has been waiting for. It is a caress. When you listen to your pain, you are telling yourself, I am here with you. You are ending the war. And this simple inner statement, spoken through awareness, is the beginning of deep transformation. It is like a bird tapping softly on the window pane. Imagine this. You are sitting in your house and there is a sound. At first, the tap is light, barely noticeable. You might think it is the wind. You ignore it. Then, when you do not respond, the tapping grows louder, more urgent. The bird wants to come in, or it wants to deliver a message. But the moment you turn your head and see the bird, the tapping stops. The noise was only to get your attention. The bird was simply asking to be noticed. Pain is the same. It taps gently at first, then louder still. It manifests as stress, then anxiety, then illness. But the moment you turn toward it, the moment you give it even a little of your awareness, the tapping stops, the urgency fades, the pain begins to relax, because it no longer needs to call you. The connection has been made. So, as you feel this now, this subtle shift of seeing pain differently, let your breath follow it. Take a deep breath now. Not a mechanical breath, but a conscious one. Let your awareness soften into the places where your pain has been waiting. Don't touch it with fear. Touch it with curiosity, because in the next unfolding, we go deeper into what happens when pain is ignored, and why turning away from it creates more suffering than the pain itself. If you wish to deepen this understanding, to read the words that have transformed millions, look to the description below. Our ebooks are there. They are not just books. They are companions for your solitude. Buying one is a way to invest in your own soul's library. As we move now into this next unfolding, I want you to sense how the understanding we opened in the last chapter begins to settle inside you like soft dust floating down in a quiet room, creating a new stillness in your chest. Let the knowledge drop from your head to your heart. You have seen how pain is a messenger, how it arrives to harm you, but to call you, to draw your awareness towards something important within you. And now we go deeper into a truth. Many people live their entire life without realizing ignoring your pain does not make it disappear. It is the greatest illusion. Ignoring your pain makes it grow roots. It grounds itself in your biology. Ignoring your pain makes it travel inward, finding new ways to speak, new corners to hide in, new shapes to take. It is a shapeshifter. Ignoring your pain turns a simple message into a silent storm. And this storm begins to color your life in ways you may never notice until you turn toward it. This next part may seem subtle, but it holds a deep truth. Listen with your inner ear. When you push your pain away, you are not pushing it out of your life. You cannot push anything out of existence. You are pushing it deeper into your body, deeper into your emotional field, deeper into the spaces where it becomes harder to reach. You are burying radioactive waste in your own backyard. Pain that is ignored doesn't die, it buries itself. And once buried, it begins to harden, it calcifies. It becomes tension in your shoulders, tightness in your stomach, heaviness in your chest. Look at your body right now. Where are you holding? That holding is the fossil of an old emotion. It becomes patterns in your behavior, stories in your mind, reactions in your relationships. Why did you get angry at your partner over something small? It was not the small thing. It was the buried pain speaking. It becomes a quiet force shaping your choices, your habits, your fears. Suppressed pain becomes physical tension. The body remembers everything. The mind may forget. The mind is cunning, it can repress. But the body is innocent, it cannot lie. When you suppress emotional pain, the body takes the burden. It becomes the container. It holds the unspoken word. It holds the tears that never fell. It holds the fear that was never acknowledged. It holds the anger you never let yourself express. And each holding creates a knot, a small tight place where energy cannot move. Your life force, your prana, your chai gets blocked. When enough knots form, the body begins to ache. The breath becomes shallow. You breathe only in the upper chest, afraid to go deep, because deep down, the pain lives. The posture collapses. The body grows tired. And you may think you are tired from life, tired from work, tired from stress. You take vitamins. You sleep more. But the tiredness remains. Why? But often, you are tired from carrying the pain you would not speak to. It takes immense energy to suppress reality. You are constantly fighting a civil war inside your own skin. Emotional pain, when ignored, becomes rigid patterns in your daily life. You become a robot. You repeat the same habits because the pain beneath them has not been touched. You fall into the same emotional loops because the wound beneath them has not been seen. You choose the same type of wrong partner, the same type of stressful job. You respond to situations from old memories because the pain inside those memories still sits in darkness. Pain becomes like a small stone in your shoe. At first, it is just annoying. You begin to adjust your entire walk to avoid the discomfort. You limp a little, you shift your weight. After a while you forget the stone is even there. You think, this is just how I walk. but your walk has changed. Your step has changed. Your whole way of moving has changed. You are no longer dancing. You are limping through existence. And you do not realize that the stone, the buried pain, is still shaping your entire path. Avoidance creates more suffering than pain itself. This is the paradox. The fear of the thing is always worse than the thing itself. Pain is simple when it first appears. It is pure. It is just a sensation. It is like a small ripple on the surface of water. But when you avoid it, when you refuse to see it, that ripple becomes a wave, then a tide, then an ocean. You feel lost. The mind becomes noisy. The heart becomes heavy. The body becomes tense. The world feels overwhelming. And all of this comes not because pain is strong, but because avoidance has made your world smaller. You shrink to avoid hitting the walls of your own pain. Avoidance shrinks your inner space. Avoidance tightens your breath. Avoidance closes the door through which healing would have entered. Seeing pain reduces the weight it carries. This is something so simple, yet it changes everything. Pain needs only one thing from you: to look at it, not to analyze it, not to dissect it, simply to look. The moment you turn toward it with even the slightest openness, you will feel its weight begin to shift. You don't need to heal it instantly. Healing is not a race. You don't need to fix it. You are not a mechanic. You don't need to analyze it. You are not a psychiatrist. You only need to see it. Once seen, pain begins to unwind on its own, like a tight knot, slowly loosening under the warmth of your presence. Imagine a neglected garden. Visualize this within yourself. At first, it is only a few weeds, only a few tangled plants. But when you ignore it for weeks, for months, for years, the garden becomes wild. The vines grow thick, the branches twist, the flowers disappear beneath the weight of neglect. This is your inner world when you are unconscious. But the moment you walk into the garden, the moment you see what has happened, something begins to change. You take a single breath, you touch a single leaf, you pull a single weed, and the garden responds. It begins to open. It begins to breathe. It begins to find its shape. Again, your pain is this garden. It does not need punishment. It does not need force. It needs your presence. So, as we close this first movement of our communion, I want you to feel inside your own body the places where pain may have been buried. Scan your body with the light of your awareness. Find the places where tension lies, the places where heaviness sits quietly below your awareness. You do not need to dive into them yet. You only need to acknowledge that they are there. Just say hello. Just say, I see you. And in the next unfolding, I will show you how your voice, the soft, warm sound of your own presence, can begin to open these hidden places and bring healing to wounds you have carried for years. We will learn to speak the language of the heart. Before we transition, if this message is resonating, if you feel the garden of your heart beginning to stir, please comment below. Write simply, I am listening. Let this be your declaration to the universe. And if you have not yet, subscribe to join us as we go deeper. As we enter this next deep unfolding together, I want you to feel how everything we have opened so far begins to create a quiet readiness inside you. A soft inner space where the next truth can land without effort. You have seen the nature of pain. You have felt how it calls you, how it knocks, how it grows louder only when you turn away. You have understood how ignoring your pain does not silence it, but sends it deeper into the hidden corners of your being. And now, from this new awareness, we step into a sacred moment, the moment of your first true conversation with your pain. This is where healing begins to breathe. This is where the forgotten parts of you begin to awaken. This is where the hard layers start to melt. This is where the bridge is formed between you and your own wounded places, not through force, not through willpower, but through the soft power of your own voice. Here is what most people never realize: the first words you speak to your pain carry the same energy as the first drop of rain on a long dry field. The land has been waiting. The soil has been thirsty. The roots beneath the earth have been longing for nourishment. And when that first drop falls, something stirs, something drinks, something opens. Your pain is like this dry field. It is not against you. It is simply waiting for the moment when you will speak to it with warmth, for the moment when you will acknowledge its presence, for the moment when you will let your voice touch it like rain touches the earth. Speak slowly, speak gently, speak truthfully. Your pain has been holding its breath for years, sometimes for decades, waiting for the sound of your presence. It does not respond to force. It does not open under pressure. It does not soften because of some technique or method. Pain softens when it feels safe. Pain relaxes when it feels seen. Pain begins to melt when the tone of your voice carries the warmth of your being. And this warmth cannot be faked. It must come from a real place inside you, a place that has remembered how to sit with yourself without judgment. Pain responds to warmth, not force. You cannot demand healing. You cannot command your pain to leave. You cannot fight the hurt into disappearing. These approaches only make pain hide deeper. But when you speak with softness, with slowness, with honesty, pain begins to lean toward you. The way a frightened animal leans slowly toward an outstretched hand. It listens. It relaxes. It opens because it recognizes something familiar in your tone, your own presence, your own truth, your own willingness to stay. The tone of your voice matters more than the words you choose. You can speak very simple words. You can whisper a single sentence. You can say something as gentle as, "I am here with you." These simple words carry an immense power when they rise from presence. Your pain is not evaluating your vocabulary. Your pain is listening to your energy. It is listening to the softness between your words. It is listening to the silence beneath your breath. It is listening to the sincerity that vibrates through your voice. And when that sincerity touches it, pain begins to transform. Speaking helps your pain feel safe. Imagine a parched plant that has lived under a harsh sun for weeks. One drop of rain arrives, then another, and slowly the plant begins to lift its leaves again. It begins to open. It begins to remember that water exists, that nourishment is possible, that life is still here. Your pain is this plant. It has been sitting inside you without water, without the nourishment of your awareness. Your voice is the first drop. And the moment that drop touches it, the first movement of healing begins. So, let this truth sink into your chest, now into your breath, into the long, quiet places inside you. Your pain has been waiting not for some great technique, not for a dramatic release, but simply for your voice. And now that you have seen this, I take you deeper into the next unfolding where you're soft. Speaking begins to smooth the sharp edges of your pain and turn its tightness into space. As we move now into this next deep unfolding, I want you to feel how the first conversation you have begun with. Your pain has already created a small opening inside you, a gentle doorway where something soft is entering. You may not notice it at first because healing rarely arrives with noise. We are addicted to drama. We want thunder and lightning. But real change arrives like dawn, slowly, quietly touching the edges of the night until you realize light has been growing all along. And now, in this new light, we step into the next movement, the softening of the edges of your pain. This moment in your healing is delicate, beautiful, like watching ice begin to melt under the early warmth of the morning sun. Pain is not only a message, it has a shape. Have you ever felt the geometry of your suffering? It has corners. It has edges that feel sharp, tight, cold. These edges have been protecting the wound inside. They are the guards at the gate. They have been guarding what was fragile. But the moment your voice touches your pain, the edges begin to loosen. And now I will show you how your presence smooths them into something soft, something open, something ready to transform. Pain has edges because pain has been holding itself tight for a long time. When emotion is not expressed, when a memory is not understood, when a hurt is not acknowledged, that energy contracts. It pulls inward. It hardens. It freezes into shapes inside your body and your heart. These hard edges are not your true nature. Do not mistake the armor for the man. They are simply the way pain has learned to survive when it has not been given your attention. But the moment you speak to your pain, the moment you offer it warmth, the moment your presence reaches toward it, these edges begin to change. They feel something they have not felt in a very long time, safety. And safety softens everything it touches. Warm words dissolve the harshness inside. When you speak with gentleness, your tone becomes like warm water flowing over a cold stone. At first, the stone does not change. It remains cold, hard, familiar. You might think nothing is happening. But patience is the essence of love. As the water continues to move, something begins to shift. The coldness weakens, the surface softens, the hardness begins to crack, and slowly the stone gives way to something smoother, something warmer, something more open. Your pain is this stone, and your warm voice, your gentle speaking, your patient presence is the water. When you continue to touch your pain with this warmth, the harshness begins to dissolve. The sharp edges lose their power, and pain becomes something you can finally move toward without fear. Pain becomes fluid instead of rigid. This is the alchemy we are performing together. Pain that is not acknowledged becomes stuck, frozen. In time, frozen in the body, but when you bring your presence to it, pain begins to move. It begins to breathe. It begins to unfold. What was once tight becomes spacious. What was once hard becomes soft. What was once bearable. This fluidity is the first real sign that healing has begun. It means the pain is no longer defending itself. It is no longer hiding. It is no longer closing. It is meeting you. It is letting you in. Softness creates space for release. When pain softens, it does not vanish instantly. It does not need to. It simply becomes spacious enough for release to happen naturally. You do not force release. You do not chase it. You do not demand it. Release happens the way leaves fall from a tree when autumn arrives. Not through effort, but through readiness. When the tree cuts off the nourishment to the leaf falls. When you cut off the nourishment of resistance to the pain falls away. When your pain becomes soft, it begins to let go on its own. Something that was held for years begins to slip out gently. Something that was stuck begins to move. Something that was heavy begins to lighten. And all of this happens because you brought softness, because you brought awareness, because you brought your voice. Presence turns pain transparent. When you sit with your pain, when you speak to it, when you breathe into it, something subtle happens. Your pain becomes see-through. You can look into it without fear. You can feel it without drowning. You can hold it without being consumed. The pain that once felt overwhelming becomes something you can touch, something you can understand, something you can sit with. And transparency is the beginning of transformation. Once you can see through the pain, you can see the truth beneath it. The memory, the belief, the longing, the unmet need. And healing becomes simple, not easy, but simple. Imagine a block of ice melting under sunlight. Visualize this clearly. At first, The ice is rigid, cold, resistant. But as the sun continues to warm it, the surface begins to soften. Drops of water appear. The hardness weakens. And soon the whole shape begins to change. The ice becomes water. The water becomes flow. And the flow carries away what once was frozen. This is what happens when you soften the edges of your pain. The coldness becomes warmth. The hardness becomes tenderness. The frozen becomes fluid. And you begin to feel a sense of inner movement. A sense that healing is not something far away, but something happening inside you right now. Feel this softness rising inside you. Feel the edges of your pain growing less sharp. Feel the way your voice, your breath, your presence have already begun to touch the places that once felt unreachable. If you are feeling this inner movement, if the ice is beginning to melt in your own heart, take a moment to click like button. It is a small action, but it signifies a great internal agreement. It says, yes, I am melting. And now, from this softening, I lead you into the next unfolding, the moment when your pain begins to answer you. When the message hidden inside it starts to speak back, and you discover the deeper truth it has been carrying all along. As we continue our slow descent into the heart of this journey, I want you to feel how each step we have taken has been preparing you for this moment. The way the earth softens before a seed begins to rise. The way the sky lightens before the sun breaks through the horizon. You have spoken to your pain, perhaps for the first time in years. You have softened its edges with the warmth of your presence. And now we enter a sacred unfolding, a moment most people never reach because they run before this moment arrives. They close themselves too early. They fear the tenderness opening inside them. But when you stay, when you continue to breathe, when you continue to speak, softly, something miraculous happens. Your pain begins to answer you. It unravels. It reveals. It whispers its story. And this story is the key to your healing. Pain responds when spoken to, because pain has been waiting to speak. Everything in life seeks expression. Joy seeks expression in laughter. Love seeks expression in embrace. Grief seeks expression in tears. Even silence seeks expression in presence. Pain is no different. It has been held inside you for so long that it has forgotten what it feels like to be heard. The moment your presence reaches it, the moment your voice touches it, pain remembers. It remembers that it is allowed to speak. It remembers that it is safe to reveal its truth. It remembers that it belongs to you not as torment, but as a message. And so it begins to unfold. Pain often hides old memories. Not every pain comes from this moment. Many pains are echoes. Echoes from childhood. Echoes from heartbreak. Echoes from moments when you felt abandoned, unseen, misunderstood. These echoes sink into your body, into your breath, into the emotional field around you. They become part of your inner world. Quiet but powerful. When you ignore them, they remain as tension. When you run from them, they remain as pattern. But when you speak to them, when you soften them, when you breathe into them, they rise. They rise not to hurt you, but to be released. They rise because your presence has become strong enough to hold them. Your listening invites these memories to surface, the way still water reveals its depth. When nothing stirs its surface, when the mind becomes calm, when the breath becomes soft, when presence floods your awareness, the deeper layers of your being begin to show themselves. Memories you thought were forgotten begin to move. Emotions you suppressed begin to lift. Images, sensations, words, they all begin to rise from the quiet places inside you. And this rising is not dangerous. It is healing. It is the long-held energy finally finding a voice. It is the silent part of you beginning to speak. Understanding arises without effort. You do not need to analyze what appears. You do not need to dig into the story. You do not need to explain the memory. Healing is not an intellectual journey. It is a journey of presence. When a memory rises, when an emotion surfaces, your only task is to meet it with softness. Let it be there. Let it move through you. Let it complete what it never had the chance to complete. When you stay with it, when you breathe with it, when you hold it with the same gentleness you would offer a wounded bird, something beautiful happens. The memory releases, the emotion dissolves, the story loosens its grip. And you understand, without words, that the pain was never here to punish you. It was here to guide you. The pain becomes lighter as it speaks. This is one of the deepest truths of healing. Pain is heavy only when it is silent. Becomes unbearable only when it is unspoken. But the moment the pain begins to speak, the moment the truth rises, the moment the buried energy finds expression, the weight begins to fall away. You can feel the shift. The heaviness loosens, the tightness warms, the ache softens. Something inside you exhales for the first time in years. And you realize that healing is not about pushing pain away. Healing is about allowing pain to reveal what it has been holding. Imagine a quiet well in the middle of a forest. The surface of the water is still, almost invisible. But when the wind stops, when the leaves become silent, when everything settles, you can see down into the water deeper and deeper until you glimpse the stones at the bottom. Your pain is this well, and your presence is the stillness that allows you to see into it. When pain answers you, it does not scream. It does not strike. It speaks softly, like the ripples forming on the surface when something deep has moved. And these ripples carry the message you were meant to hear. As we enter this new unfolding, I want you to feel how gently everything we have done so far has been. Preparing the inner ground for this moment. The way rich soil prepares itself for the seed. The way the heart prepares itself for love. You have spoken to your pain with warmth. You have softened its edges with tenderness. You have listened until your pain began to answer you from the quiet chambers of your own inner world. If you wish to support the continuation of these teachings, to help us water the soil of consciousness around the world, consider clicking the Super Thanks button below. It is a gesture of gratitude that keeps this channel flowing. And now we step into the next movement, a movement that is as simple as breath and yet as powerful as light entering a dark room. This is the moment where healing begins to move through the body in waves, where pain loosens from the inside, where knots begin to unwind naturally. This is the moment where you learn to breathe into the very center of your pain. Breath is a bridge. It connects the awareness in your mind to the hidden places in your body. It rises from deep within your belly, flows through your chest, opens your ribs, warms your heart, and reaches the places where pain has been living in silence. When you breathe with presence, breath becomes more than air. It becomes a touch, a movement, a messenger of your awareness. It becomes the gentle hand that reaches inward. The hand that says, I see you. The hand that says, I am here with you. Your pain feels this. Your pain responds to this. Because breath carries life. And pain is simply the place inside you where life has not moved freely for a long time. Every pain has a center. It might be a tightness behind your ribs, a heaviness in your chest, not in your stomach, a burning in your throat, an ache in your heart. These centers hold the oldest memories, the deepest wounds, the most silent stories. Pain gathers at the center the way a storm gathers its power. And when you attempt to push that pain away, the center tightens even more, guarding itself, closing itself, bracing itself. But when you breathe into the center, slowly, gently, without force, something begins to shift. The center softens, the stone loosens, the hardness opens. So begin by locating the exact point of tightness. Do not search with effort. Let your awareness drift like a feather carried by a soft wind until it touches the place that needs your breath. When you feel that place, breathe into it with the softest breath you can create. Not a forced breath, not a controlled breath, but a warm breath, a compassionate breath. Breath that carries your presence, the way a quiet stream carries sunlight on its surface. Let the breath sink in. Let it surround the pain. Let it touch the edges. Let it warm the center. Pain begins to soften the moment breath reaches it. Because breath is movement and pain is stagnation. Breath is warmth and pain is coldness. Breath is expansion and pain is contraction. When you breathe into the center, you bring movement into a place that has been frozen. You bring warmth into a place that has been holding cold. You bring expansion into a place that has been closing. Let the breath soften it. You will begin to feel the change. The tightness loosens. The heaviness lifts. The sharpness dulls. The center becomes warm, fluid, almost alive. This is the beginning of release. You do not force release. Release happens on its own when the pain feels your presence. And breath is the language your presence uses to communicate with your body. Imagine warm water slowly soothing a cold stone. The stone does not melt instantly. It does not change in one moment. But as the warm water flows over it again and again, the coldness fades. The surface softens. The shape shifts. The stone becomes something new. Your pain is the stone, and your breath is the warm water. Each breath brings another moment of softening. Each breath carries another wave of warmth. Each breath tells your pain that it is safe to let go.